Used to be a fan, now I couldn't shake your hand. Disappearing quicker than the crew you try to make a band. No saving you when everybody takes the stand. Thought you'd get away with it, now there's been a change of plans. No more living flashy. Ran away, did it fastly. Hope life knocks you down harder than you did to Cassie. Always been two-faced. I'm not talking Harvey Dent. Hid your image like the drugs and drinks you give the party guests. Wanted your approval? We no longer need your props. Imagine getting raided. Whole place is a scene of cops. When this is over, your residence will be the box. Should have seen you were shady since the days of Free the Locks. As the years went on, your behavior grew colder. Whole teams bailing. You have very few soldiers. Being at his parties, he won't let you do sober. Not an artist that he signed that he didn't screw over. Started out strong, you won't like the outcome. No way out, like the title of your album. Getting cut like cable. Dude is just an a-hole. Really gotta be one to end up fighting J. Cole. Diddy reign of terror? Permanently halted. Troubles endless like the list of women you've assaulted. None of them you keep safe. Your argument's a weak case. About to take that long walk like that band that got you cheesecake. And with that being said, guys, welcome to a brand new week and welcome to a brand new edition of what we like to call the Shifting the Culture podcast, where we talk about the different artists, different events, and in this case, different controversies that surround this world we know and love as hippity hip hop. I am your host, the vegan you believe in, Conscious Kurt, aka the Professor, in the flesh as always.
This is King Khan, aka the Evil Genius, live and direct once again. What's going on, man? How you feeling, man?
Feeling pretty good. I just dissed Diddy's punk ass and also a few other asshole celebrities, and just enjoying this Memorial Day weekend, even though it's raining like a motherfucker out here. But despite that, I'm in good spirits, keeping a good attitude as much as possible, and I'm ready to get this hip hop discussion in, my dude.
All right, let's get it in, man. Without further ado, man, let's see what we got today.
All right, so since I just started the show off with that diss to Diddy, let's get into that main topic of the day. Since we last spoke to you guys, there was footage released of this incident that happened in March of 2016 at a hotel in Los Angeles, where you can see Diddy throwing Cassie down on the ground and then kicking her multiple times. And then you could see at the end him dragging her by the hair away from the shot. And that's probably the worst part of it all, because you wonder what the hell happened beyond that. So ever since this video footage was released, everybody's been outraged. Everybody's been upset and showing how they feel about Diddy as if they didn't feel negative feelings about him before. But when there's video footage and actual proof shown of the shit he's been being accused of for months, it's hard to deny any of it at this point if you were denying it before. So yes, that footage was released, and 2 days later, Diddy went on to post the most insincere bullshit apology I've probably ever heard in my entire life, where he talked about the fact that he was fucked up at the time. He feels nothing but disgust in his actions and how he's getting help and going to therapy, which got me the most with that line, the going to therapy line. Yeah, just a whole crock of shit. That's the best way I could describe that apology. And even since then, there's been 3 more allegations against Diddy, and one of them including this woman by the name of April Lampros, who worked for him like in the mid-90s, and she was a student in FIT, and Diddy was promising her like that he would like get her career started and introduce her to a bunch of people to set herself up. But that relationship soon turned ugly as Diddy apparently raped her multiple times, assaulted her multiple times, and there was even one incident where he apparently forced ecstasy down her throat and also Kim Porter's throat and tried to make them have sex with each other. And also another allegation in this suit from April Lampros was one incident where apparently Diddy forced her to perform oral sex on him while other people were watching.
Yeah, man. So we've heard stories about Diddy, over the years, but because because he's meant so much to hip hop and helped push the culture forward, a lot of people I guess, turn a blind eye or just let the shit, let the shit happen without saying anything or bringing it, to police. And it's sad that we have to wait and see a video and see Cassie getting like, beat up and thrown to the ground by Diddy for us to actually believe, some of these victims who have, spoke up over the years. Like, it's just sad, man. It's just sad to see Diddy and, being in this type, being in his position and all the accolades he's accumulated over his career, to him, be this low and, this low level and be, hitting other women and forcing people to do stuff and blackmailing people, and this and that, man. Just like it just makes you look back and think about all the different things that happened, all the controversy that surrounded Diddy his whole career, like the way he's treated his artists, the way that Def seems to to travel, be close to Diddy and his entourage. He's always had like a kind of like a dark cloud follow him and Bad Boy, throughout his whole career. So it just sucks that this video came out, and who knows what other thing, dark secrets that he has in the closet that we haven't seen yet. So I hope that this lawsuit that Cassie filed, and some of these other ones that are speaking out, that we can finally get to the bottom of this, and he deserves the all the consequences that come with all these these actions that things that he's done over the years to all these different people. And yeah, just sad, man. I just feel bad for Cassie that and all the women who've had to to deal with people using their power to advantage and making people do things that that they didn't want to do, or drugging people, raping them, all these different these bad different things that like it just just I don't know, man. I just don't really have much more to say. Like, just disgusting to see somebody act like that and then come with this half-ass apology where it doesn't even seem like it was really an apology. Just felt like he just one taped it and just posted it. He didn't even like kind of go back and see if if he was like remorseful or not, in his apology. So just a bad look, man. Just a dark day in hip hop, and yeah, man. Just hope there's nobody else in the industry that's been doing these shady practices throughout the years, and we'll see how everything plays out and what other issues come up from this lawsuit, and other females that are coming forward.
Well, I hate to say it, but I'm sure there's probably many other people who are probably going to get exposed in the coming months, coming years, because from R. Kelly, Harvey Weinstein, now Diddy, Vince McMahon, the dude from Nickelodeon, among other people. Yeah, this is just the era of people getting exposed, and I don't think it's anywhere close to being over. Diddy, I just feel is like one person out of like a list of countless others who have probably been doing this shit for the longest fucking time. And yeah, he's just the next one getting exposed, and he is being exposed in a major, major way. And yes, it is messed up that he did what he did to Cassie. And yeah, that footage of watching it is horrible and it's disturbing. But at the same time, it is a good thing that that footage did get released, because if there was anybody doubting that Diddy was guilty of this kind of behavior or guilty of these type of things, those doubts are now put to bed. Because I don't know anybody in their right fucking mind who would be still siding with Diddy at this point and still defending Diddy at this point, because
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
had so many allegations, so many different incidents where like artists had issues with him or getting ripped off by him or any other kind of trouble. Yes, just so many different situations and negative situations of that have surrounded the name Diddy, and this one is no different. And like I've said before on this show, and I'll say it many times again, where there is smoke, there is fire. And just considering that footage that we saw and the bullshit apology we saw afterwards, yeah, I have zero sympathy for Diddy whatsoever. Fuck that
yeah.
dude. And the people associated with him too and who like enabled this shit.
Yeah, just a lot of people who, like I said a moment ago, like they just turn a blind eye, like bodyguards or friends that nobody ever spoke up or said anything, but just go to show you how much power that he has, because the hotel had that footage and he was able to somehow pay them off and get that footage before it was leaked, leaked to the public, or TMZ or somewhere like that got a hold of it. So it just makes you question all the different things that have come up around surrounding Diddy over the years, such as the Tupac, murder, Biggie's murder. It makes you question all these different things. Kid Cudi's car getting blown up, Kim Porter's death. A lot of people died mysteriously around him, and a lot of them have to do what they were about to come forward. I even heard about something where Biggie was thinking about leaving Bad Boy before the day before he passed away. So just a lot of, dark things that happen, and it just, I don't know, it just doesn't look good. And I hope we get to the bottom of this, because we deserve to know, what really happened with Tupac. Like, did he have something to do with it? What happened to Biggie? Did he have something to do with that as well, to get a hold of his masters and to be able to make money off of him while he, as because you make more money off of artists when they're dead rather than when they're alive. And just makes me also look at the music industry differently. Like, how are all of the biggest icons, at least when I was growing up, are all dead? They didn't even make it to 60. Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson, Prince. These were like the biggest artists when I was growing up, and they're all dead. That just, like, I don't know, that just rubs me the wrong way, and it kind of shows me like a different side to the music industry, is how, like, want to get rid of all of our biggest artists, and they can't live a full life. And it feels like there's more to it than them just dying mysteriously, or like some random medical issue happened. Like, it's kind of hard for me to believe things like that when, when we find out that he's able to pay people off, and who knows how many other people got paid off over the years to cover things up. Like, it's just sad that we have to think about things like that now.
Yeah, I've known for years that the music industry is the devil's playground, even as far back as like the 1950s, 1960s. Like if you've ever seen the movie The Five Heartbeats, where that one executive dude like holds one of the singers of the group like over the railing of like a tall
Yeah,
building. Yeah, and then like he has like the group's manager killed mysteriously. Not to mention all the other stories we've heard about Suge Knight and people like that, among other things. Not even just getting ripped off, yeah, not even just getting ripped off and not getting your masters and things like that. Now it's like stretched to the point of rape, assault, and even murder in many cases. Yeah, it's just a scary place. That whole music industry scene, yeah, it's just a scary, toxic ass place. And unfortunately, some people want that fame and want that notoriety so badly that they'll put up with anything and do anything to get it. And unfortunately, they become victims to people like Diddy.
yeah, man. The industry needs to be cleansed. Like, everybody needs to be called out. Whoever's associated with Diddy and doing all these similar acts like him need to be called out. They need to be prosecuted, and we need to clean the industry of these type of behaviors. Man, it's not cool. It's like you can't just make music and become like a big artist organically. It's like you got to get fucked in the ass, or you got to get raped or drugged, or something has to happen to you in order for you to become successful, and people to know you. Like, it's not just based off of your talents. Like, it just sucks. It just makes me question why certain artists, like, after they're coming out with an album or two, they disappear. Or artists are as good as any, like, such as Kendrick. Why they don't drop as often? Maybe they don't want to be a part of all the shenanigans and all these things that go on behind the scenes. Maybe like artists like Nas, that would who don't drop that often as well. Maybe this is the reason why they don't want to get caught up in some of the bullshit that goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah, and I don't blame him. It's fucking sucks and it's evil at the same time. Yeah, like I think when I was pursuing music 15 years ago, that's one of the things that turned me off from it. Like the thought of having to sell out, the thought of having to be something that you're not. And it goes even far beyond that. It's going to the point where you have to like do these weird ass sexual favors. And yeah, just basically, like you said, sell your soul in order to be accepted by them. And I just say, fuck being accepted by them. Those people fucking suck. And yeah, I don't need their acceptance. I don't need their fucking approval. And none of us do, in all honesty, in the grand scheme of things. Yeah, like at the end, like looking back at it now, I can't see how the fuck I was such a hardcore fan of Diddy for as long as I was. Like now that I know this stuff about him and have been exposed to this stuff about him, like I said in that first line on the verse I spit, I couldn't even shake that dude's hand. I couldn't even hell even look at that dude in the eyes. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
disgusting, bro. It's disgusting. It's sad, like especially when you grew up idolizing a lot of these people and like loving their music so much to like learn that they're that much of a piece of shit. Yeah, it does tarnish it in some ways. It really does.
yeah, man. Think about Mace. Mace was, after Biggie passed away, Mace was probably one of the biggest artists on Bad Boy and also in hip hop. He had the big videos. He was on pretty much all the Bad Boy songs. Like, he was one of the biggest artists at that time. And for him to drop his debut album, which to me was very successful, and then for him to come out with a second album, and then all of a sudden he wants to be a pastor. Like, I don't know, that's a red flag to me. That shows me that maybe he saw things going on behind the scenes that that made him run to God. That's how bad he was.
Oh,
It probably got.
I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it at all.
We're talking about Mace. He was bigger than Jay-Z. He was bigger than everybody at that time. Right after Biggie passed away, Mace was probably the biggest. hip hop artists at that time. I would say I can't remember who else was hot at that time, but Mace was definitely up there, top three hottest artists at that time. And for him to just walk away after like a hugely successful album, there was a lot of big hits on that first album, man.
Oh, I
And
know, I know,
on
I'm
the work that
aware.
he did on No Way Out, and you know all the those Can't Stop Won't Stop, those videos were pretty big songs. Been around the world. These were pretty big videos, man. And for him to just just run to becoming a pastor right after that, I don't know. That just it just shows you what what else was going on. And there's a countless other instances where a lot of shady stuff happened around Diddy. So we'll see how if it,
Too
if
many.
all that stuff comes to light. And also the nightclub shooting thing, how Shine, what I'm saying, took had to be locked up for 10 years when the lady who got shot said that it was Diddy who did it. Yeah, that whole situation is messed up as well, man. So it's just a pattern of different controversial situations that involve Diddy or around Diddy that just shows you that he's the common denominator and everything.
Exactly. When all of these different situations go down and your name is linked to pretty much all of them, yeah, you definitely bear some responsibility. No question about it. Regardless of whether it's this or if you're somebody who's had like multiple different failed marriages, yeah, like with that many different troubling situations with your names attached to it, you definitely bear some blame in it. And in the case of Diddy, whole lot of blame to be pointed at him, and deservedly so.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if he snitches, if he brings anybody else down with him, because supposedly he has like video recordings of people like some high, elite people in some compromising positions on those videotapes. So we'll see if we see anything else that comes out of it, or if he brings anybody else down, who's a part of his circus, who's been running around doing the same shit that he's been doing. So I don't know, man. It's been an interesting year in entertainment to say the least, with all these truths coming up, coming to light.
Yeah, and apparently, Diddy sold the rights to produce the documentary about Diddy and all the shenanigans to
Oh
Netflix.
yeah, 50. Yeah, 50 made a documentary, 50 Cent, and then he sold it to Netflix. They bought it.
Yeah, so we'll definitely see how that turns out. It's definitely going to be some hard shit to watch if the R. Kelly one's any indication. But I feel like now, like these kind of documentaries, like the ones exposing R. Kelly, the ones that expose Harvey Weinstein, and also the most recent one about Kevin Spacey and the Nickelodeon kids, these things are like becoming now the new reality shows where like they're coming out like left and right, back to back to back. And like that's becoming like the main form of entertainment in some ways now, is like exposing these type of motherfuckers.
Yeah, we gotta expose everybody. We need the cleansing, man. It's time to get rid of everybody who's been doing all this stuff. So that way for the next generation of artists coming up, that like they don't have to deal with this. I don't know if you noticed, but over the last few years, it's been like the type of music that's been promoted, the type of like even like shows, the stuff on TV. Like a lot of it has been dark, and it promotes like homosexuality, and not that is that people if that's your thing, that's your thing, that's fine. But I don't know. I feel like it's been pushed more as an agenda over the last few years than it has been my whole life. I don't know. I feel like a lot of things have been I don't know, like kind of like put in our face more than they have before. Like some of the stuff that I don't know that I remember growing up a lot. Sexuality wasn't as like in your face like as it is now for kids to see, and there's a lot going on over the last few years, and I feel like it's changed.
I guess, like for instance, like that one video we talked about a few months ago about like that 9-year-old kid like rapping about street shit, and about like pushing weight and about his like little dingaling and things like that, and also like little 9-year-old girls like
Yeah,
twerking and wearing like half revealing clothes and all that jazz. Yeah, like shit like that is definitely a no no. It should not be
shit like
happening.
that. Or then I heard Larry Cohen was on the Breakfast Club a few, maybe it might have been a while ago, but he was saying that they push these type of artists that push drugs and do coke and all codeine and syrup and all these stuff, but then they wouldn't want their kids listening to those type of to that type of music. So why are these people brainwashing our kids or people of color with this type of music?
I
It
know
just shows you like
why.
another way to
I know
this shows another
why.
way for them to get ahead, and by pushing us down and trying to push us, just another way of trying to suppress people of color. They got rid of slavery, so they're just finding different ways to kind of push us down. But we got to be bigger than that. We got to see, look at the bigger picture and see what's really going on, and we got to change it. And it starts now. We got to cleanse the system, and we got to get back to making good music, music with a message, music with a meaning, and stop promoting like all this like the sexy red type of music, all this type of bullshit that we don't need. We need to get back to the good
Yeah.
music that will be timeless, yo.
Yo, and it's
Not
not
this
just a
bullshit that's being promoted.
and it's not just the fact of the toxic bullshit they're shoving down our throats, it's the fact that people consume it. That's another factor in it. If people will stop consuming it, stop giving it attention, and stop giving it the time of day, that will give us a better chance of getting rid of it.
But it's tough with social media and stuff with all this stuff is just like kind of shoved down your throat.
I
No
get
pun
it, I
intended,
get it,
but
I get it. But at the end of the day, if you get to a point where you can see through it and you can like tell other people like what the fuck it is and they can see through it and you stop, giving it your power, giving it your attention and giving it, any relevancy, then it'll have less and less power over you. Like I think of like, fast food places, for example, like McDonald's. People don't fucking eat at McDonald's anymore because they see through that shit. They see it for what the fuck it is now. So they don't give it any relevancy. And I feel like that same thing needs to happen with the music industry and that toxic music and toxic bullshit they promote, is to stop giving it that power over us.
yeah, it's got to be easier for us to find like the good conscious stuff. But I feel like they try to hide it and try to bring all the negative stuff to the front. So you just got to be more mindful of what you're consuming, what you're reading, what you're watching. All that stuff has an effect on you. So hopefully we can cleanse the industry of this negativity, man, because it's not good.
Yeah, if your diet consists of reality shows and sexy red music videos all day and just scrolling through TikTok, you need to revamp your
Yeah,
life
for real.
big time. But yeah, we'll keep you updated on whatever latest shit comes up about Diddy because I'm sure this shit is far from over. And yeah, I just hope that people like him, people who cause this kind of harm and cause this kind of suffering, get exposed for the pieces of shit that they are and they crumble to pieces because that's what they deserve.
Yeah, for real.
All right, so let's move into something more positive. As Apple recently released the list of some of the best albums of all time, and believe it or not, the album that was ranked number one on that list was The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. Obviously, this list by Apple sparked a lot of controversy, sparked a lot of debate. And while a lot of people do love the Lauryn Hill Miseducation album and do think highly of it, there are other people that think ranking it at number one is some major league bullshit, especially considering that Michael Jackson's Thriller came in second to Miseducation on that list. And I will admit, Miseducation is an incredible album. It is a great album, probably one of the best of that year being 98. But I don't know if I would rank it as the best of all time. That sounds like a bit of a stretch, but hey, it's Apple's list. I'm sure they probably did that on purpose to get us to talk about it the way we are now. But King Khan, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, just like you just said a moment ago, it's like they come out with these lists just to spark controversy, get people to talk, and it's great engagement because everybody's going to talk about it online or on their podcasts or wherever. So they did their job. They did what they're supposed to do. They did what they're trying to do to get people to engage and to talk about it. And at the end of the day, you're talking about Apple. So, but I definitely do not agree with Miseducation being the best album of all time. It definitely was a great album, but I don't see that as the best all time. I would probably have to go with Michael Jackson or say like the Beatles or Prince or somebody like that. I would say would probably have to take the top spot for me. But I would say Thriller probably the best because of the records that it broke, the videos, and just all the hit songs that were on the album. But yeah, yeah,
And the history it made.
yeah, history. But yeah, just looking at this list, man, it's kind of hilarious who they have in it. They have Frank Ocean in the top five. Like, come on, man, he makes like one song every like 10 years. And like, I know the album was alright. I don't even think it was an album. I thought it was like a mixtape. But for it to be in the top five, that's ridiculous. Over Stevie Wonder, like, come on, man. Good Kid, Mad City in the top 10. Yes, it was a good album, but I don't think it's better than Illmatic or some of these other albums that dropped. What else? Beyonce, Lemonade at number 10. Like, come on, man. That album wasn't. It was alright. It was good album because of the shock value, because she was talking because of the subject matter of her talking about Jay-Z in that album. But honestly, the album wasn't a top 10 album of all time. and then Blueprint at number 13. Like, come on, son. That's it's not better than Illmatic.
Purple Rain at number 4. I mean, I guess that's not bad, but
Marvin Gaye 17.
yeah, look, Miseducation was great. She won fucking 5 Grammys for it. It was a big deal when it came out, and it's still in many ways a big deal now, considering that people still love her and like she hasn't even released an album since then. But it's not fucking with Thriller. Thriller, with the records it broke, the hit songs it had, and the fact that Thriller was basically what opened the door for like other black artists to get played on MTV. Yeah, that shit I would say has to take number 1 over Miseducation.
Yeah, they had the biggest impact.
And not to mention Michael Jackson still had other hit albums after that and other big tours after that. Pretty much since Miseducation for Lauryn Hill, like what has she done that's been like as big or bigger since? Let's be
Yeah, she
real.
hasn't really. I know she's working on a new album, but yeah, this was like over 20 years ago. This album came out, and yeah, it's definitely up there, definitely in the top 10. I would give it that, but I don't think it's the number one album, especially over Michael Jackson or Prince, the Beatles, Marvin Gaye, like people like that, legendary artists. That not to say Lauryn Hill is not legendary, but they I feel like they had a bigger impact, and if it wasn't for those type of artists before her, she wouldn't have had such as much of an impact.
And this isn't even a personal knock on Lauryn Hill because I know we've been vocal about her before on this show about like, her being super late to her shows and like, not respecting her fans in that sense. But with that personal shit aside, she is definitely one of the icons in music, regardless. Just her work she did on that album and also the score for the Fugees alone, like cements her legacy.
Yeah, for real. Not to take
Yeah.
away, but these lists they do what they're supposed to do, man. They do
Yep.
these on purpose.
Mission
They
accomplished.
have Illmatic at 39,
Oh, come on.
Ready to
Good Kid, Mad
Die.
City was good, but it's not top 10 of all time. Illmatic definitely should be in that mix
They
of
have
who
Good Kid. They have Good Kid, Mad City over the Tribe Called Quest, Low End Theory, over Ready to Die, over 36 Chambers and Illmatic, and over Aquemini. It was a good album, but it wasn't better than either one of those five albums I just named. Like, come
Nah.
on, man.
Yeah, they do this for lists for like every kind of different entertainment genre, and yeah, this is no different. But I do disagree. Lauryn Hill's Miseducation, I would not rank number 1. It's definitely in the top 10. I would not debate that, but over Michael Jackson's Thriller and some of these other albums we mentioned, I would not rank it over those.
Nah, son.
Or hell, even It's Dark and Hell is
Nah,
Hot that came out
can't.
from the same year, I wouldn't rank it over that either.
Well, that's just a preference, but yeah, yeah, definitely. It's in the top 10, but not the one, not the top one.
All right, let's move on to our next topic. As this past week, Sean Kingston and his mother were arrested after Sean Kingston's home in Southwest Ranches in Fort Lauderdale, Florida was raided. And him and his mother were both arrested for fraud charges, identity theft charges, among other charges. And some of these charges of identity theft and fraud are totaling up to over $1 million. This whole situation with him and his mom goes back years. Like his mom got convicted of like fraud, like I think maybe 18 years ago and went to prison for it. Even as far back as February, this home entertainment company in Florida was suing him because he said that he would do commercials for the company, him and Justin Bieber, if they agreed to lower the price on the entertainment system he had installed in his home, which cost like $150,000.
Wow,
And he not only didn't hold up his end of the deal about doing the commercials, he also like only paid 30,000 of the 150,000 that he owes for
you
it.
can only get away with stuff for so long, man. Eventually, you're gonna get caught. Like, I don't know. That's what always happens, man. People get greedy. You get away with something once, okay, fine, whatever. Nobody figured it out. But then to keep doing it and doing it over a course of years, and then now it's to the point like your mom is embarrassed. She's getting arrested, and they're putting these videos and pictures of her of getting arrested online. It's not a good look, man. I would never want to see like somebody in my family, being arrested because of something that I was caught up in, or to see my family member on the news because they got arrested or whatever, and because of something that had to do with me as well. So it's not a good look, man. I don't know, man. What these artists do with their money, Like I felt like he was successful. He made enough money off of the music that he did, even though it was a long time ago. But I thought, I don't know what these artists do with their money to be going broke or to have to do things where they have to like
Steal and scam.
steal and scam or makeup or claim that they're gonna do this in order to get a discount. Like it's just sad, yo, that what these artists will do just to keep the persona or the image of them like being ballers or or whatnot. So just a sad, another sad example of how the music industry and how society is making you think that you need to be a certain way when you really don't, man. It's just not worth it, yo.
Yeah, and also it's also coming out that between October and March, him and his mom stole $500,000 in jewelry, $200,000 from Bank of America, $160,000 from an Escalade dealer, and more than $100,000 from First Republic Bank.
Damn. I don't know how the hell to get away with all this
Fucking
shit
A, son.
to get to this point. But damn. But yeah, they're definitely gonna get sound like like you said, where there's smoke, there's fire, and sound like yeah, they're definitely gonna be in for a rough rest of the year once they investigate everything and figure out what was really going on.
Yeah, and it's crazy. The house that got raided was in Southwest Ranches. We know that area very well from living in
Yeah,
Florida
yeah,
back in the day.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, The Rock lives there.
Yeah, a lot of celebs live in that area. It's a nice area.
Yeah, when the house is getting raided like that, yeah, that's not a good look. And not to mention, his mom has like a history of getting in trouble for this kind of stuff. Yeah, she went. I mentioned a few minutes ago, she went to prison for fraud back in like 2006.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's sad, man. Like, especially like when people who have money and already have success like resort to pulling this shit. Especially if it's in a case when they don't even have to do this when they already set, but they're still pulling this shit to steal from other people because they feel like they can. Yo, that's messed up. That is messed up.
yeah, man. So they deserve to get whatever comes with it, man. You can't be scamming people and just say. I heard he said that him and Justin Bieber are gonna do a video or something, or he's friends with Justin Bieber to let him get a discount.
Yeah, he said like, yeah, me and Justin Bieber will do commercials for your company if you give me a discount. And yeah, he never did the videos. Justin Bieber obviously never did the videos. He paid like not even half of the amount that he owed for the damn
Are him
system.
and Justin Bieber cool? I know they might have done something like back when Sean Kingston was popular.
They had that one song together back in like 2010. It was called "Eeny Meeny Miny Mo Lover" or some
You know,
shit. Yeah, this is like back when Justin Bieber was still a teenager.
when he was like when he first came out with Usher and whatnot.
But yeah, that was years. Yeah, to be honest, that song wasn't even that big of a hit. It was a moderate hit at best. But yeah, it wasn't that
Yeah, he
big.
had that one song, "The Beautiful Girls," and I don't think he
Yeah,
might have had another song he was featured on,
yeah, he had
but I don't
"Beautiful
think he
Girls."
had.
Yeah, "Beautiful Girls," which is actually number one. That song was huge, and that "Take You There" song, the follow-up single, was like moderately popular.
Oh yeah, I remember that. But yeah, he didn't do enough to where he's still making money. So maybe that's the reason why. But still, man, you gotta live within your means, man. If you got it, you got it. If you don't, live within your means, man. Instead of scamming people and then going to jail for this, like it's not worth it, man.
Okay, and also moving on to other news, Nicki Minaj this past weekend was detained temporarily in Amsterdam as she was traveling for a Pink Friday tour, the overseas part of it, and apparently she was detained for possession of marijuana, which she claimed was not hers. It belonged to her security guard, but she was still detained for a few hours anyway, and even tried to put the whole ordeal up on her Instagram live to show that they were, unfairly harassing her, unfairly targeting her. And she also said that they searched her bags without her consent. And that this is all a ploy to sabotage her tour, to mess everything up for her when everything else they tried to do failed. And yeah, just basically all the typical stuff she would say in these kind of situations. But since then, she's been released. But the only downside was that her show in Manchester, England had to be postponed because of the whole detaining situation. So that whole thing has been a mess. But besides that, she is not, as far as I know, being charged with anything else.
Yeah, man. You know how Nicki does, man. She always plays the victim. I don't think I feel like they're just doing what they're supposed to do. Yes, it is legal to have marijuana in whatever, I forgot what country it was, Amsterdam or whatever. But at the same time, when you're in these other countries, man, you can't just be bringing stuff from like weed or drugs from another country and bringing it to another country, even though it's legal, because that's considered smuggling. So yeah,
Exactly.
so you can't do that. So that's definitely against the law. And plus, you can't play around with these other countries, man. It's not like the United States where, we are, I would say, not more lenient, but you can get a lawyer, and there's a process, and we know the process is, and it's not the same overseas. Like, they have different ways of dealing with people who are breaking the law, and a lot of times they're a lot more strict than the United States, and they don't play around like when it comes to certain things over there. So you gotta you gotta be smart, and you can't be like smuggling drugs or bringing drugs around. You saw what happened to Brittany Griner last year, where she was locked up for months in Russia because she had like a
Yeah, that was
vape pen. Remember
bad.
that? Yeah, remember
Yeah,
that?
that
And
was bad.
we had to get like the president involved and the government involved just to get it back over here. So luckily, this situation didn't get to that level. But like, you can't be going into the other countries, especially if the United States has a problem, with these countries, and especially with the temperature of the whole world right now, with all the shit going on in Israel and all over these wars and shit like that. Like, a lot of shit is tense right now. So it's the last thing that you want to do is go to a foreign country and start some bullshit, and get caught up over there. So it's got to be more smarter than that.
And hey, I'm not saying it wasn't, her security guards and not hers, but yeah, you just got to be extra careful with, traveling to other countries. Hell, even other places in the States. Like, there are certain states in America where weed is legal, but there's other states where it's not legal. So you have to be smart in that sense of like, yo, I can't travel with this shit like to another state where it's not legal. I could really get in trouble for that. So yeah, you have to really be careful in these situations, whether you're a celebrity or not. Yeah, because just getting into this kind of trouble, it's not worth it. And at the end of the day, as far as smoking and all that shit, it can wait. It can fucking wait till you get to the next place.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's not worth it, man. To lose, I'm sure she lost a lot of money by missing that show, and to reschedule. Yeah, people will come back, but still, like, what if they had like or made arrangements just to go to that show, if they had somebody to watch their kid, or took off from work, or what, you don't know what people are going through just to make a show, and then for it to get canceled because of something like that. Like, and then maybe fans may rub them get they might rub your fans the wrong way, and they may not want to come to another show when you come back in town. So those are certain things that just to think about.
Yeah, definitely. Hi, Lauren Hill. All right, so let's get into our anniversary part of our show. As this past week marked the 31-year anniversary of the Hood classic, one of our personal favorites, Menace to Society. Directed by the Hughes brothers, starring Tyrone Turner and also Lawrence Tate. And it tells a story of an 18-year-old by the name of Kane, where he talks about like his experience living in the Watts area of Los Angeles, along with his homie O Dog, played by Lorenz Tate. And let's just say this movie was in many ways the opposite of Boys in the Hood, where Boys in the Hood, even though it took place in the hood and there were a lot of violent aspects to it, it was still more lighthearted in many ways if you think about the music and some of the messages in it. But with Menace to Society, this movie was hardcore, in your face, no punches being held, no holds barred. This movie told the perspective of living in the hood from it, of the people who were like really about that life, like, involved in the street shit, doing the street shit. So yeah, it was a whole completely different vibe. And yes, this movie is hardcore, uncensored, and yeah, it definitely gives you a more uglier side of living in the hood than probably any other movie was showing you at the time. King Khan, I know you were about 10 or 11 years old when this movie came out back in 1993, but what was your impression of it when you first saw it back then? And what did you think of it compared to Boys in the Hood and other hood classics at that time?
No, definitely up there. This is one of those hood movies that you definitely like. This one, Boys in the Hood, a couple other ones around that time that you definitely left a mark, made a big impact on the culture. Yeah, these movies were definitely needed, even though it was a lot of violence and a lot going on. Just wanted, it was a great way to show people at a bigger scale, like what really was going on in the hoods, like what goes on, between different gangs, and people coming up and just trying to survive and just try to make it. But people will do it by anything that they can just to make it in the hood. And unfortunately, they get caught up with gangs. They caught up with violence and drugs and things like that. And it was kind of hard to watch a certain scene because there was a lot of violence, as I said, and a lot of horrible scenes in the movie. But yeah, it was definitely, like I said, it was definitely needed. A lot of good actors also. Jada Pinkett was in it. Lorenz Tate, also Tyrone Turner. So it was a good cast. So as far as that sense, it definitely compares to a Boys in the Hood with a lot of a good up and coming cast, and it like it also painted a picture of how it was in the hood. But I felt like this one's a little bit more violent. I felt like Boys in the Hood had like a stronger message, I would say, because they had like the pops in the movie. I feel like Men's Society was good. Like I felt like King was trying to get out of the hood and move to Atlanta with Jada Pinkett towards the end, but unfortunately it was too late. Like all like the past like shit that he did, through in the hood finally caught up to him, and before he could finally escape and get out, like he was taken out. And just a sad movie how that the little kid died, right? The little kid got killed, right?
No, he didn't
Oh no,
get
he
killed.
protected him. That's what happened. He protected him. But anyways, yeah, yeah, it was a good. It was definitely a good movie, and it was much needed for the time, and it definitely impacted the culture. Especially a lot of people, spoke about that movie after it came out.
Yeah, just the opening scene alone where they're in that store with the Korean couple and the Korean couple's like harassing them and telling him like hurry up and buy it, get the fuck out. And then when the dude like mentions his mom, Lorenz Tate just loses it and just like pops him and then shoots the other lady, then steals the money and then steals the video footage of it. Yeah, just from that opening scene alone, like this movie is gonna be fucking
Yeah, and
intense.
set the tone.
And then not to mention you see like how he grew up, like when you see him like when he's a kid, and you see like how his mom's like a heroin addict, and then like his dad's like a street dude, and his dad literally shot a dude like literally at the table right in front of him.
Yeah,
Like imagine being a 5-year-old kid and like your parents are having people over the house, and your dad just shoots and kills one of them just randomly.
yeah, it's the type of trauma that you grew up with your whole life. It makes you get caught up in shit like that too.
Yeah, like you see, like the way he grew up in the environment he grew up in. Yo, the kid didn't have a chance. Look, like the shit he did in the later part of the movie, and like how he turned out. Yeah, that shit's not okay by any stretch. But that environment that he grew up in, I mean, what the fuck did you expect to happen?
Yeah, exactly.
And crazy, his dad was actually played by Samuel L. Jackson. It's the only scene he's in, but yeah, it's a great cameo by him in that.
Oh, I didn't remember that.
Yeah, Samuel L. Jackson. Yeah, that's his dad in the movie. He's only in that scene,
Oh
but
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. He was. Now I remember. But yeah,
And
it was definitely like I said, it was definitely a movie that was much needed just to show the perspective of why things in the hood happen, the way that they do. There's a reason why it's that way.
yeah, and look, you might not like most of the characters in the movie. Like, oh dog, I'm not a fan of the character in the movie. I'm not a fan of him. Also, Kane's not that great either. Like, even though he's the main character, like a lot of the shit that he does throughout the movie makes you kind of not a fan of his either. And yeah, some of the other people they hang out with suck too. But that's the thing about it, where it shows you the perspective from them, where like even though you might not like them and the shit they do, and like maybe how they talk and all that, it's just the reality of where they live and the reality of the environment they're in. And what the fuck do you expect them to do? Lie to you? Pretend like they don't act that way, they don't behave that way, they don't talk that way. I feel like art in many forms, whether it's movies, music, whatever, it should be honest and authentic. And this movie, while it was hardcore and not for everybody, that's exactly what the fuck this movie was. And that's why I like and respect it so much.
Yeah, it was just the reality of what really goes on in the hood. Like no sugarcoating, no watered down. Like it was real deal and in your face and intense. And that story, there's a lot of stories like that. I'm sure that happen, in the hood that doesn't get told. But I definitely felt like it was an important story, an important movie at that time.
Yeah, and not to mention that one scene in the first few minutes when him and his cousin are getting carjacked and he gets shot, and then when they take him to the hospital, like he's like dripping in blood, and it's like a miracle he even survived it. Yeah, that scene was intense. Like that one scene when they're taking him to the hospital
Yeah,
and just blood's dripping everywhere. You're like, what the fuck?
yeah, it was a great acting, great movie, man. It definitely was.
Yeah, and it's funny. Tupac was supposed to play the Muslim character, the Sharif character. He was supposed to play in it, but then he ended up getting
Okay.
fired because he had like issues with the directors. He ended up getting fired because he was like always like questioning why the character turned Muslim. He would constantly ask that question and he would never get an answer, and they would never write it into the script. And then eventually he ended up getting fired from the movie. And he even attacked one of them. Yeah, he even attacked one of them and got in trouble for it later.
Should have just told him. They should have just told him.
Yeah, I feel like he would have pulled it off while playing the Sharif character, but I mean, whatever, it wasn't meant to be. I mean, regardless, I don't think the movie was any less good without him. I did like the cameo by the dude who played Rock in it.
Oh
That
yeah,
one scene where he's like telling Kane, like being a black man in America isn't easy. The hunt is on, and you're the prey. Just survive. Like that was kind of like the equivalent of the gentrification scene from Furious and Boys in the Hood. That's kind of what I compared it to.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It was very similar in that way. Yeah,
Yeah, it was a good speech. And then, yeah, like
definitely.
you said, he's like right about to leave. He's right about to move to Atlanta. He's like getting packed up and everything. But then an incident where he got another girl pregnant apparently, and then he beat up the girl's cousin when he tried to confront him about it. That girl's cousin and his homeboys roll up on him and yeah, pull a drive by on him and kill him and Sharif. And yeah, that one scene at the
Yeah,
end when he's trying to hold on and you pretty much can tell that he's not gonna make it. Yeah, that shit breaks your heart. Like even though you don't like the Kane character in many parts of the movie, just seeing that he's like about to leave and he's about to get out, and then that shit happens. Yeah, like I've said it before and I'll say it again. It's one of the saddest endings to a movie I've ever seen.
yeah. It was pretty sad, man. And then with the kid, and he tried to protect the kid from getting shot. Yeah, it was just a sad, sad ending, man.
And you just notice with the narration at the end, like he was pretty much dead the whole time, and it was just the ghost of Kane kind of narrating the whole movie.
Whole movie, yeah. It was just a dope movie, man. Way ahead of its time. Shouts out to the Hughes brothers for directing the movie. It was definitely a classic, and great performances by Lorenz Tate and Kane definitely did his thing as well.
Yeah,
So
Tyron Turner. Yeah.
definitely a great movie.
Also, MC8 was in it. MC8 was in it too.
Yeah, yeah, he was.
Yeah, but the money line at the end is like during the narration when he's talking about how his grandfather earlier in the movie asked him whether or not he cared if he lived or died. And then, like in that scene, he said, I don't know. But then in the narration, he says that, yeah, I do care whether I live or die, but now it's too late.
So yeah,
Fuck, man.
it's fucked up.
Yeah, one of the best movies from that year being 93, definitely a classic, still holds up today. And if you have not watched it in a while, go check it out. But just brace yourself because that shit is not for the weak at heart.
Not at all.
All right, so let's fast forward to 7 years later for our next anniversary, as this past week marks the 24-year anniversary of Eminem's classic album, the Marshall Mathers LP. And this was his second major album following the Slim Shady LP from the year before. And as big as the Slim Shady LP was, Marshall Mathers LP was even bigger. Sold over 1 million copies within the first week, was number one on the Billboard charts for 2 months straight. And bro, this album did work. Did work. I would have to say my favorite Eminem album from start to finish.
I feel like I like the first Eminem album over this one, but I did like a couple of songs off of this album. The song that I liked, I definitely liked "Stand." That was definitely a dope song, and not so many artists did a song like at that time. It kind of reminded me like something like Nas would do, like some kind of like creative song, just like how Eminem did, going back and forth, talking, from the perspective of a fan. So it was just a dope concept for that song, and I also love "The Way I Am," and I love the video for that. That was the video when he was like falling out the window, right?
Yeah,
Is
that's the
that that
one. That's
song?
the one.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
it.
that song was dope. I love that song. So yeah, those are like kind of the ones that I remember off of this album that I really like. So, but I know you dove into this album a lot more than I did. So, what were some of the ones that kind of stood out to you, or what do you remember about this album?
Well, first off, this is like peak wacky crazy Eminem, and that is definitely felt in this album big time. From the
Yeah,
song,
that's not to cut you out. That's the I was gonna say like that because you said it was the his peak of his wackiness. That's probably what kind of turned me off from this album, because this is the one with the real Slim Shady, and that was like one of those wacky videos. So that's probably what kind of turned me off to this album compared to the first one. Even though the first one was wacky, but it wasn't as much as this one, as commercial as this one.
yeah, I get it. Like I went back to listen to it yesterday, and while I still do love it, I can see how some people were turned off by it because yeah, that wacky shit, that crazy drug infested shit, yeah, you could definitely feel it big time on this record.
Yeah,
From the very first skit, like the very first skit, the public service announcement saying Slim Shady does not give a fuck what you think. And by purchasing this album, you just literally sucked his cock. Yeah, like from that being the way the album starts, you're like, bro, this shit is definitely not for kids.
no, definitely not.
Yeah, that song Kill You, where he's talking about like his issues with his mom and all that other jazz, where he's like, my mom used to tell me my dad's an evil man. She used to tell me he hated me. But then I got older and realized that she was the crazy one. and there's nothing really that I could do about it because that's just the way she was. Yo, that shit was funny as hell. You know, it was crazy, and you like definitely could tell like the dude was having some issues, like looking at it from today's standards. But when you listen to it, especially back then, you're like, damn, this dude's a monster. This dude can fucking spit like I've never heard anybody spit before.
Yeah, you could spit. We were just saying like wild and crazy shit, just for like shock value. I would say
Yeah,
like
like I would.
like a lot of stuff didn't really make sense. It was just like to create a reaction.
Yeah, I'll admit there's definitely parts in this album where you feel that vibe where like, you know, it's like a little too crazy, a little too wacky, and like too much shock value for its own good. But I just feel like his skill, his lyrical ability, and his storytelling ability kind of outweighs the wackiness. The wacky content admittedly is a lot to put up with in some parts, but his skill I feel like, you know, overpowers it. That's why I've always rocked with Eminem, is because of that.
Yeah, nobody ever questioned his skill. It's just sometimes the antics and the wackiness kind of like turn people off. Sometimes they're not, they're not in the mood for that kind of music. They just want to hit bars and songs. But yeah, like I said, that's kind of what turned me off to this album. But I did mess more with the next album after this than
Eminem
the
show.
Marshall. Yeah, the Eminem show. I liked it. It had probably my favorite Eminem song on that album. I would say,
Which song is that?
which is Superman. Superman. That's probably my favorite Eminem
Oh
song of all
shit!
time.
Wow, wow! I never knew that. I never knew that was actually your favorite song of his.
Superman
Shit.
is that that's a fire ass song. That Superman song is dope on so many levels, man.
Superman's great. Also, Say Goodbye to Hollywood's great. Sing for the Moment's also great. I know he's not a fan of it anymore, but Cleaning Out
Oh
My
yeah,
Closet
sing for the moment.
at the time was great.
Yeah, Clean Out My Closet was a dope beat, dope song.
All right, but back into this album real fast, like you said a few minutes ago, Stan's incredible. Yeah, just the storytelling
Yeah,
on Stan, just telling it from the perspective of a overly obsessed fan, and then at the end of it, it's Eminem talking back to the fan, and then he realizes that somebody who killed themselves on the highway, and then he realizes it was that exact same person. Some crazy
yeah, as
trippy
well.
ass shit.
Oh, I was gonna say Dido also killed the hook
Oh yeah,
on that song as well. That definitely made help make the song as well.
oh yeah, she bodied it. I'll say that's probably my favorite song on the album. I'll admit. Also, The Way I Am, like you mentioned a few minutes ago, that song's incredible. Just him talking about like the pressures of being famous and the pressures of like, you know, being in that position that he was in, where like, you know, fans try to approach him at the wrong time and like, you know, having to navigate through all that. Yeah, that shit really hits hard. The Real
Mm,
Slim Shady, I mean, it's a fun single, it's a fun, catchy song, but it's not one of my favorites. I'll say that much. It's not one of my favorites from the album by any stretch.
nah, definitely not.
And then obviously I'm back. Yo, I'm back is hilarious. They call me Slim Shady. I'm back. I'm back. And also, even though it's wacky, one of my favorites of the wacky songs he has on this album is the drug ballad.
I don't remember that one. How does that one go?
Every time I want to go and leave, whoa, these drugs really got a hold on me. Whoa.
Now I gotta go listen to it again. It's been a minute.
Back when Mark Wahlberg was Marky Mark. This is how we used to get the party spark. Yeah, he was spitting like some shit like that, talking about doing ecstasy, talking about doing mushrooms.
Yeah, it was definitely
You got me spilling guts, feeling like I'm in love with you. But the next morning I'm gonna be like, what the fuck we do? And if my wife finds out, then I'm stuck with you. Yeah, he was really on it on that song, especially like for like the wacky songs. Like I said a minute ago, that was probably my favorite of it because yo, he kills it. Like especially like if you're at a party and if you were into even doing that stuff back then, you'll appreciate a song like that.
yeah, for real. But yeah, it just wasn't for me, man. This album.
Yeah, and also another song that was a little too far. I'll admit, another song that went too far was that song Kim, where he's basically like, you know, kidnapping his wife and putting her in the trunk and basically killing her. Yeah, that song was a little too much. Good hook though. The hook was great, but yeah, it was way too violent, like way too far.
Yeah,
So wrong, Kim, you did me so wrong. I don't want to go on living in this world without you. The hook's great, but just everything else in the song is, yeah, some very disturbing shit to say the least.
yeah, it's a little too wild for my cup of tea. But if you like it, you like it.
Yeah, but still my favorite Eminem albums. He was on an incredible run at the time. Won the best rap album Grammy for this album too. Whether you agree with that decision or not is another story. But yeah, definitely peak Eminem and still a great project. Despite its wacky parts, still a great project in my opinion. All right, but let's move on to our last anniversary of the day. I know my podcast partner is really looking forward to this one. This past week marked the 6-year anniversary of Pusha T's album Daytona. And this is probably his most critically acclaimed work that he's done to date. Got a lot of great reviews, got a lot of great feedback, was even nominated for the Best Rap Album Grammy for that year. And yeah, this is definitely peak Pusha T. Dude was on one
Oh
during
yeah,
this
for sure.
period. Definitely on one during this time.
Yeah, this was definitely the best album that came out of, remember when Kanye went on those that Wyoming
Wyoming Sessions.
excursion where he
Yeah, Wyoming
the
Sessions.
Wyoming sessions where he produced like an album within a week. I think he came out with an album with Cuddy, Tiana Taylor, Nas,
Nas.
Pusha T. And I think there was one other album that might have came out around that time. But yeah, it was. I see what Kanye was trying to do at that time. It was a dope idea, but for certain artists like Nas, I don't feel like it was a good idea because they don't work good under those type of parameters. Making an album within a week, you need time to like really think it through and really make have time to really put a good quality of work together. Well, nonetheless, though, this Daytona album was the exception to out of all of those albums that came out. This album was fire from beginning to end. It's only like 7 tracks long and it's only like 20 minutes long, and you just play this shit straight through without even skipping anything. And it was just a dope body of work, solidified Pusha as one of the best lyricists, and it also kind of it's kind of sparked off the Pusha T and Drake beef from that track Infrared that where Pusha T says that it was written like Nas, but it came from quitting, which was basically throwing a jab at Drake for using the ghostwriter Quentin Miller on some of his tracks that Meek Mill had called him out for in the past. So this is just definitely a dope project, as you said, probably Pusha T's peak body of work, and just sets the tone with "If You Know, You Know,"
Oh,
and
that's
then
great. If you know, you know it's so fire.
that song is fire, and then just Kanye's production on this whole body of work was just dope. He produced like every track on there, and then what was that other song that was on there? The
The
second
games we
song,
play, the games we
yeah, the
play was
games we
also
play, yo,
dope.
man, I probably played that song like for 2 years straight, like almost every day, man. That song was like fire, man. But this is dope. A dope album. I'll let you get in, some of your favorite joints before I go into all of mine. But yeah, definitely a dope project by Pusha T. And the best of that year, I would say, one of the best.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to argue what you just said about that being the best album that year. The only other thing I could think of was the Nipsey Hussle album from that year, the one that got nominated for the Grammy.
Oh yeah, Victory
Victory
Lap.
was the one right before he
Yeah,
died.
that was those are two great albums that year. Yeah,
But yeah, even though it's only 7 songs and yeah, like only 20 minutes or so, that 20 minutes is fucking great. The best way I would describe it is that it's not a marathon, it's a sprint. But holy shit, what a sprint it is, man.
yeah,
7 tracks, it goes by pretty fast, but damn, it's worth every single last minute. Like you said, there's nothing you can skip on this whole project. And yeah, just peak Pusha T performance, just that flow and that sound that he has. Yeah, that shit is probably what stands out about him most. I
yeah,
kind of
man.
forgot how good he was, to be honest with you. I kind of feel ashamed of it to say that,
Yeah,
but
because he doesn't come out as often, but when he does come out, he comes out with some good quality music.
yeah, if you know, you know, really sets the tone for it. It has a really dope vibe. It's like a song you could really play over and over, and even play at a party, honestly. And then the games we play is fire. The hard piano track with Rick Ross is also dope. And Infrared obviously really ends it on a high note.
That was a
And
dope. That
that's like
was
where
sick
you really
song.
start to see the issues between him and Drake.
Oh, I like that song, Santaria. That was another dope song.
Like you said, man, like there was like nothing you really could skip on this whole project. It's really short, but it's definitely one sprint that's worth every second of it. And damn, it kind of makes me want to go back and listen to some other Pusha T shit because yeah, I will say as dope as he is, he's somebody I like never really listened to as much as I should have.
Yeah, you definitely slept on him. A lot of people slept on the Clips albums. The Hell Hath No Fury, and I forgot the other one that came out after that one. Lord Willing, or the Lord Willing might have been the first one.
Lord Willing was the first one with Grinding and When's the Last Time and all those other yeah, like that was
Yeah,
like when they first came
I
out.
think Styles was on there. Fabulous was on that album. Go back and listen to that. It should be on Spotify or whatever.
Oh, I'm sure
But
it is.
definitely
Yeah,
listen to that album. Yeah, that album is fire, man. That has a lot of dope tracks on there that a lot of people slept on. They thought it was just a grinding type of songs, but that album is a classic. Definitely listen to that. Hell Hath No Fury is another dope album.
And that's peak Neptunes also. Yeah, not even just the fact that they're dope, it's peak Neptune's production too.
But I've heard that the clips are coming back together. That they're recording an album, so that should be dope.
Yeah, that would be
They come
fire.
back together and drop something.
Yeah, I think Pusha T's supposed to be performing here in Atlanta in July.
Yeah, with Earth Gang and I think Kid Cudi. I think they have a
Oh
concert.
shit.
That might be interesting.
At that gas South arena that I told you about that we
Yeah,
passed by on the
yeah,
highway.
yeah. I've seen it. I've been around that area.
Yeah, I'd definitely be down to go to that show. But yeah, shout out to Pusha T for this project. Shout out to Kanye for the production on this project. Whether you like to do it or not, the dude can definitely produce some good ass music. And yeah, this is one example of that. Yeah, shout out to everybody involved.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely a classic album, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna start listening to some more Pusha T as like the next couple days go on. Yeah, definitely a dude I always knew was dope, always knew was talented, but I just never, like I said a few minutes ago, I never really listened to as much as I should have.
Yeah, it's not all coke music and drug music. It's not all that. He has some good songs. So yeah, definitely check it out. And that song Popeyes, check it out. It's the clips in Cameron. That's a dope track also.
Yeah, definitely. But before we get out of here, King Khan, let our listeners know how they can listen to past episodes of the podcast and also how they can follow us on social media.
Yeah, if you want to check us out on social media, you can follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Just search Shifting the Culture Podcast. If you want to check out past episodes and get more in tune with what the podcast is about, visit shiftingtheculturepodcast.com.
Yes, check us out, holler at us, let us know what you think, and feel free to debate with us on any of the topics we talked about today. But until next time, for King Khan, this is Conscious Kurt with another edition of the Shifting the Culture podcast. Take care, enjoy the rest of your Memorial Day weekend. Get fucked up, but not too fucked up. And whether you're an old school head or a new school head, all I ask is please respect the fucking culture. And fuck Diddy too.
Yeah, peace.
Peace. Have a good one, guys.